Howdy folks, AJ coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the history of role-playing games. And the main reason I'm doing this video is that, as I've said before in my other videos, my favorite Facebook group that I belong to is called Old School Role-Playing. And every month we come up with a theme or a topic for that month of what we're going to focus on in the group. And this month's theme is do-it-yourself adventures, basically, or do-it-yourself gaming, creating your own gaming content. And so what I thought I would do is, because I do have a couple of things that I have done myself, game modules for Dungeons and Dragons, that type of thing. And I will probably do that in a separate video. I'll probably go into that a little bit in a separate video. But on this particular video, I wanted to talk about the reference books that I have regarding the history of role-playing games, gaming in general, wargaming, all that. So I've got a few of them, and I'll go through them here, tell you what each one of them's about. They're all available through Amazon or eBay or whatever, so if there's any of them that you sound like you might be interested in, they are available. So some of them are older, some of them are still in print. So first one it's called Dicing with Dragons, and it's by Ian Livingstone. It's called An Introduction to Role-Playing Games, and this book is basically exactly what it says. It's an introduction to at the time of the role-playing games that were available at the time. It talks about everything from Dungeons and Dragons to Traveller to Top Secret, Boot Hill, all those types of things. If it was available, he kind of goes into it in here, and basically gives you a rundown of all those games that are available. In addition to that, there was actually his own little solo adventure in here that you can actually play in the book. So if you are interested in learning about at the beginning of the role-playing game phenomenon with Dungeons and Dragons, and then how it spurred on to other games, this might be. It's not a very big book, so this one might be of interest to you, just to learn how some of those other games came into being and all that. So that's the first one. Put that one down here. The next one that I have is called Fantasy Wargaming, and it is by Bruce Galloway. It's out of print, but it is available. It's fairly cheap on Amazon for a used one. This one's a used one. And he basically goes into a little bit of the history of role-playing games and everything, but he goes more into the mechanics of fantasy wargaming, and he even has his own generic set of rules and tables and all that content in here. So if you were interested in creating your own role-playing game or your own set of rules or whatever, this might be of interest to peruse through, just to see how some of his generic rules and tables and so forth work and all that. He actually goes into a little bit more. He goes into history also of the setting of the Middle Ages, of where a lot of fantasy role-playing games take place, of how the living conditions were back in those days, how nobility, how the structure of the nobility and all that, so that you could incorporate that into your game if you saw fit. So again, another decent reference book. This one is still in print. It's actually fairly new. I just got it, so I haven't read it yet. It's called Of Dice and Men, The Story of Dungeons and Dragons and the People Who Play It, by David M. Ewalt. And I haven't read it yet, but I've read, I read reviews and all that, and basically, he's a guy who played D&D, most of his life, and decided to write a book about Dungeons and Dragons, and then he interviews a lot of people that have played it over the years and got their take on it and all that, and I expect it to be a pretty good read because it's gotten really good reviews. So anyway, so I'm looking forward to that one. So that one, of course, still in print, fairly new. Now this next one is, I guess, considered um, the one all-encompassing book about the history of gaming, um, with regard to any type of uh, wargaming specifically. And it even says right on the cover, it goes from chess to role-playing games. So it says a history of simulating wars, people, and fantastic adventures from chess to role-playing games. It's called Playing the World by John Peterson. And it is enormous. It's 700 pages. 698. So I'm going to use this. I just got this one too. I ordered that same time as I got that of Dice and Men. I'm going to use this as more as a reference material rather than try and read it from cover to cover. I think that would just overload my brain if I tried to. I don't know how long it would take me to read this from cover to cover, but it is broken down into sections. So I plan to basically, when there's a particular topic that I want to get some information on, I'll go in here. Like it has a prelude to adventure, and then it goes into the medieval setting, castles and crusade society, chainmail, Blackmore, the fantasy game. It goes into all different. I mean, it just goes into everything. So I will use this more as a reference material than trying to read it from cover to cover. But from everything I've read, this is the Bible for the history of fantasy role-playing games. So if you needed information, it will be in this book, is the way I understand it. So the next one that I have is specifically, it was actually produced by Wizards of the Coast, and I don't think it's in print anymore, because when I got this a few years ago, it was about, I don't know, $8 or something like that. The suggested retail is $24.95, and I got it for like $8 on Amazon. Now I checked again, and it's about $30. There is a hardback version, as well as this is softback, so that's probably why I got it so cheap. But it's called 30 Years of Adventure, Celebrating Dungeons and Dragons, and they actually got Vin Diesel, the actor, to write the foreword for this book, the introduction. And for those that don't know, he's a lifelong Dungeons and Dragons player, and he's been a very vocal advocate of the game on talk shows, and they always ask him about it and everything, and so forth. So so the foreword, yeah, it's written by him. So there you go. Now this goes into, because it is produced by Wizards of the Coast, there is an awful lot of artwork in this book. So if you're really a fan of the artwork going through the years for and it goes into all the different brands, because make no mistake, they're doing some advertising by publishing this book. I mean, it's got Mystara, Forgotten Realms, Dark Sun, Greyhawk, Ravenloft. They're all in here. Planescape. And if I have one gripe with this book, it's every single page is printed like this, at a freaking angle. and some of them much more extreme than that. So you're constantly twisting the, you know, it's very uncomfortable to read constantly at an angle, you know, and it's just a pain in the ass. Okay, maybe they didn't think of that, but it is. So, I mean, look at that. How stupid is that? You know, there's a whole shot of it. You know, it's like, I don't know what if they were trying to be artistic or what, but you know, that's my one complaint. If it were, I mean, that's not the easiest. That's not the easiest type, and in an angle, having to read it, you know, and all the pictures are at an angle and everything. So that's my one complaint with it. There's an awful lot of great artwork, an awful lot of information in here, and then it even goes into the future, talking about what they're going to do in the future and all that, which we're in the future now, as this was put out, you know, quite a few years ago. So anyway, that's available if you're interested, if you don't know about it. And my last one, I saved the best for last. So if you've stuck around and you are a fan of Gary Gyagx, you might be rewarded here if you don't know about this book. This one is called Role-Playing Mastery, and it is written by Gary Gyagx himself. Tips, tactics, and strategies for improving your participation in any role-playing game by one of the people who started it all. Co-creator of Dungeons & Dragons game. Which is technically true, but we all know Gary Gyagx is the father of role-playing games. So, and basically what this is, it is out of print, and this one will cost you money. I was lucky enough to get this in a used bookstore for $3.95, and I just checked on Amazon, and you cannot get one for less than $50 now, even used. And if it's new, you're talking $300. So, in any case, this one basically is exactly as it says. It's Gary going through and giving you his tips on how to play the game, how to play it, how to DM it, and all that. So if you are thinking about creating your own content or your own role-playing game or whatever, here it is. This is from the man himself. So I would highly recommend that one if you can spare the $50 to get it. It'll only probably go up in value since Gary's not with us anymore. He acknowledges two people in there at the beginning, Frank Mentzner and his son Ernie. And so you could buy one of these and take it to conventions with you, and if either one of them are there, you could get them to sign it. So it might be worth your investment. So we're going on 14 minutes here. So basically the purpose of this video was, if you are thinking about doing your own content and getting inspired, some of these, one of them or all of them or some of them might inspire you or help you to create something. So that's what I tried to accomplish here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any comments about, now if there's other books that I did not mention in here that other people have that can recommend, put them in the comments. Be very, very welcome. So until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the flip side.